matchup in the NCSL, where Notre Dame, the number 9 ranked team in the nation, travels on the road to Neyland Stadium to take on the number 13 ranked Tennessee Volunteers. So we'll see what both teams are made of here in the first conference championship game of this episode, as Tennessee is going to start trying to blow one down the right hand side, but it was not thrown far enough though. It ends up getting intercepted. Tin Landrum, man, he had his man down the sideline, just didn't put enough under it, but Notre Dame could not take advantage, and on Tennessee's following possession, the Volunteers will march all the way down the field and punch it in with one of their tailbacks, and Sam Graves, the backup tailback, actually getting a little bit of love. So the Volunteers get the scoring started. And we're going to build this thing into the second half as they're trying to expand their lead, going for another big play down the field. This time it actually does end up being caught by Jason Page, a huge 35-yard bomb. And it's been all Volunteers here in the first half as they will punch it in yet again. This time the premium back Tim Wilson getting into the end zone. So already up 17-0. As Notre Dame has struggled tremendously on offense today. That looks to continue as Notre Dame needs their defense to wake up badly, but that hasn't happened yet. Matter of fact, the Volunteers looking to put the hurt in on the Fighting Irish, making it 24-0 after a strike to Andrew Adams in the corner of the end zone. Tennessee out here dominating and looking to prove that, yes, they deserve to be in that NCSL college football playoff at the very end of the regular season. 24-0 now remains your score as Notre Dame just looking to get some sort of scoring going. And that's just Greg Hunt just trying to get everything back in one singular play. Nothing was really open over the middle of the field. And Jeff Bradley, the right outside linebacker, well, he's going to make him pay for it there. So Tennessee again with the ball in their hands as they look to make this a 30-burger before we go into halftime. And we got it right there. Jason Page is going to score for the Volunteers. Touchdown, Tennessee. So Tennessee will open up with a 31-0 lead at the half. And Tennessee will look to just clinch the MAC championship, clinch one of the auto bids into the NCSL playoffs, as Jordan Houston will score yet again. Tim Landrum, you want to talk about a great performance? Tim Landrum, he is certified him today. Third passing touchdown of the afternoon. And we're going to continue that hot streak as Notre Dame just trying desperately to get back into this game any way, shape, or form. That could help him out a little bit as Mike Johnson is going to be found in the center of the end zone. We'll see if they go for the 2-point conversion. They actually choose not to. So it'll be an 18-point game, but they'll try to go for the onside kick. Hang on now. Hold up. Wait a minute. Notre Dame is going to get the onside kick. So remaining alive thus far as Greg Hunt looks to throw a dot to the left-hand side, and it's caught. Ray Robinson in the corner of the end zone. Touchdown, Fighting Irish. We'll see if they go for the 2-point conversion. Yes, they do. This would make it a 10-point game. Hunt looks over the middle of the field. Finds Sean Hawkins in the back of the end zone. A tutty for Notre Dame. So this became kind of interesting towards the end of the game, but just a little bit too little too late. If only Notre Dame was playing at that higher level much sooner, could have been a different story, but instead Tennessee wins the MAC championship and have the first auto bid. Speaking of those auto bids, let's now move on to the Big 12 Conference as SMU getting in courtesy of TCU simply fumbling the bag in the second half of the season. They get the pleasure of taking on an undefeated and number 2 ranked Texas Longhorns team. Texas, one of the most dominant teams in the country. They have not really been challenged over the course of the season, as Texas will drop back the pass to try to make this an early 10-0 lead, and Julian Sanders will score in the back of the end zone. So Texas is already up pretty big here, 10-0 does be your score right now. And here's the thing, the Longhorns, they have another chance to add points on the board They do have yet another red zone opportunity, and sure enough, Texas will cash in another score for Julian Sanders, who has been living in the nightmares of the SMU secondary all afternoon long. Speaking of which, there's another Julian Sanders catch. Already has 4 catches in this game. He's been heavily involved in the Texas game plan, and it softens up SMU for the run as they try to toss it to the outside. Trey Dixon will get to the corner, and Texas will score yet again. So 24-0 is your score, as we still have a bunch of football left to play. Texas did all that. What you just saw, Texas literally did all that in 1 quarter. It has been a one-sided affair thus far in the Big 12 Championship out here in Austin, Texas. We'll see if SMU can pull it together and try to get a goal line stand. 3rd and goal coming up, but David Massey is going to get in untouched into the end zone. Touchdown, Texas. And this story was already written. The Longhorns dominate SMU, and Texas will punch their ticket into the college football playoff. Meanwhile, we keep ourselves down in the southeast as Ole Miss goes on the road to take on the Memphis Tigers in the Sun Belt Championship. 2 teams that have either been ranked all year or have spent some time ranked in that top 25. Should be a very interesting game, as Memphis is actually the team that gets to host, even though they are considered the underdog. But Ole Miss, late in the first quarter, is going to get the scoring started, so Ole Miss gets the opening salvo. However, Memphis will not take too long to respond as they'll throw over to the right-hand side. Got some space over on the perimeter. That's James Everson. That's going to make that little 6-yard grab to make this a much more reasonable 2nd down. As it looks like Memphis is going to go with the Wildcat. It's going to be the running back that keeps it, gets to the corner of the end zone, and Lamar Hopkins scores. We have ourselves a tie ball game here in the Sun Belt Championship, as we now move on to the 2nd quarter of action. Looking over the middle, he finds Phillip Brooks in the end zone. Touchdown, Memphis. And the Tigers are going to take the lead on the number 15 team in all of college football. Imagine that. We could have our first big surprise here in Conference Championship weekend. Not if Ole Miss has anything to say about it. Archie looks over the middle and finds his tailback, Justin Forwerda, who is unaccounted for out of the backfield, able to get 20 yards off the reception, as Ole Miss looks to continue their impressive drive towards the end of the first half. As we're down to the last minute of the 2nd quarter, Archie dropping back the pass, looks over to the left-hand side and throws a dot to Charles Rhodes. And it sets up the Rebels inside the 5-yard line. We're on the very next play. Justin Forwerda is going to find the end zone. Touchdown, Rebels. And a tie ball game ensues. And it looks like this is going to be a battle to the final whistle. Still a tie game late in the 3rd quarter. Ole Miss trying to take the lead, though, but it gets intercepted. The Memphis defense holds strong, as now 2 minutes left in the 3rd quarter. We're going to try to punch it into the end zone. Yes! Trey Richardson scores for the Memphis Tigers. 24-17. Now your score. So Memphis 1 quarter away from going to the college football playoff as the Sun Belt Conference champions. Everything on the line for these 2 teams. Goal line situation coming up for Archie. Looks over the middle. Finds Charles Rhodes in the end zone. Touchdown, Rebels. And we have a tie ball game now once again. A fight to the finish. One that Ole Miss wants to finish up. Archie tries to throw over to the right-hand side, but gets intercepted. This could be returned all the way. No, he gets caught from behind. And that's big because Memphis cannot punch it in a few plays later. So the Tigers had to settle for a field goal. And who knows, Ole Miss does have one more chance. 1:13 on the clock. Archie looks over the middle, finds a receiver who breaks a couple of tackles. Dedrick Hill is able to fight forward for that first down. But a few plays later, they're in a 4th and 6. This is for the game, and they're going to get it. Dedrick Hill again coming in the clutch, making that big-time catch. and Ole Miss is going to remain alive. They only have one timeout, though. We have ourselves a ball game on our hands. Archie looks over the middle, and it's going to be caught. Justin Forwerda with a 20-yard catch. And now the Rebels on the verge of getting into the red zone now. 1st and 10. Less than 40 seconds left to play. Archie drops back, looks over to the middle of the field. He's got a receiver inside the 5-yard line. Forwerda gets the Rebels set up, and it comes down to a goal line stand. Archie looks caught. Justin Forwerda is going to send Ole Miss in to the college football playoff. A heartbreaking loss, though, for the Memphis Tigers. So we'll see if the rest of the conference games live up to the rest of the action as we now move on to the Conference USA Championship. Rutgers going out to take on the Black Knights of Army. Army is undefeated. They are ranked number 3 in the whole entire country so far. However, Rutgers is looking to play spoiler, and on Rutgers' first drive of the game, they will actually punch it in on the ground for Chris Merriman. So Rutgers will let Army know that, hey, we showed up. We here to play as well. What say you? And it turns out Army, well, they might be in a little bit of fight of their lives themselves. Only up by a field goal. With less than a few minutes left in the first half, Rutgers tries to send the blitz, but they actually do the unthinkable. Army passes the ball, and Derek Jensen executes it perfectly. And because of that, Derek Jensen will continue to extend his school record for passing touchdowns in a season. Congratulations to that young man. However, Army misses the extra point. You absolutely hate to see it. So Army is only up by 9 points, but that might be all the cushion that they need, to be honest with you, because I'll tell you what, this Army defense is playing absolutely lights out. Reminds me of that Florida State team that we saw in the ACC Championship last night. Yes, I am recording this the day after conference championships in real life do conclude, as we're going to see the quarterback Derek Jensen find his way into the end zone. Another touchdown for Army. They're even feeling bold. They're going for the 2-point conversion, but their fullback actually does end up being denied. So Army still enjoys a 15-point lead in spite of a failed 2-point conversion. Rutgers needs a perfect fourth quarter in order to come back and win the Conference USA. Goal line situation coming up for the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, though, looking for their first touchdown since the opening drive, and they will get it. Adam West is just going to scramble into the end zone himself, as nobody went with him on that read option there. Easy opportunity as Rutgers will decide to go for 2. A bold strategy for Cotton, one that will work out, so they'll just need an extra point if they score again. However, that opportunity never comes as Army runs out the clock, and they're your champs of the Conference USA. So now we head ourselves over to that Midwest. How about the American Conference? Wisconsin taking on the Cornhuskers of Nebraska. A little bit of custom coach love here as George Gentry, in his first year, the offensive coordinator of the Nebraska Cornhuskers, has a chance to help Nebraska make it back to the college football playoff. They made it last season, but they have an interesting fight on their hands as Brian Robinson will help them actually take the lead for the very first time today. That's a big thing for why Nebraska has 3 losses this year, is that they have had some issues with health at the quarterback position. Brian Robinson will actually be making the start after his brief absence, so we'll see how much rust he has, but luckily they do have one of the best running backs in the country, Tim Hayden. He was a finalist for the Heisman back in year number 2. As they got a goal line situation coming up, as they're going to run it with the quarterback trying to get to the corner, and Brian Robinson fights his way in. Touchdown, Nebraska. And the Cornhuskers look to put this game away in the fourth quarter, and sure enough, they will do precisely that. A 10-point lead for the Cornhuskers that will turn into American Conference Championship, so Nebraska will be back in the playoff. That leads us to another big-time matchup, this time going on down to the SEC. Georgia, ranked number 20 in the country, well, they will go down to a usually sunny Miami, Florida, but we might have a little bit of a monsoon on our hands, as the number 20 ranked Georgia Bulldogs will take on the Hurricanes of Miami. They come in ranked number 8 in the entire country. So we'll see what these two teams can do in the rain, as late in the first quarter we still have no score. Looking to break that though is Andre Bryant with a big time throw to Sean Garcia. Georgia with an opportunity to finally put points on the board, and they will do that with an extra with this longer field goal, able to hit that through to tough weather conditions. You love to see it. And it's been a low scoring SEC championship game, as Elliott Hartman will finally find the end zone for both teams, as Hartman will score for the Georgia Bulldogs as they open up a 13-0 lead. When will the Miami offense wake up? Because even though Miami is 11-1, Miami has looked sluggish on the offensive side of the ball. They have downright not looked very impressive at all. Late in the third quarter, still looking for points. Amos drops back. He wants a big-time throw down the right-hand side, and he's got Tyrell Smoochie Wallace, one of your guys' custom players, able to catch it in the corner of the end zone. And Miami, it only took them 3 quarters to do it, but they finally found the end zone. So that being said, we are looking at a 1-score game going into the fourth quarter, unless Brian has something to say about it, as that is a dot over the middle to Brandon Chance. That will also set up a field goal opportunity for Georgia. The Georgia defense playing lights out, but offensively leaving a lot more to be desired. However, less than 3 minutes left in the game. It's still the same score. Amos throws over the middle. He'll have his second passing touchdown of the afternoon, as Marcus Brown will do the rest of the work for his beleaguered quarterback. So a 2-point game, or at least it should be, for the Miami Hurricanes. We'll see if they decide to go for the onside kick, and they don't. So Miami just relying on that defense. We'll see if Brian can put the nail in the coffin. That could do it. Brandon Chance with a 42-yard reception. And now they can just try to milk this clock as much as possible. They already have a field goal in the bag, but they will not settle. They will instead get Elliott Hartman into the end zone. Touchdown, Georgia. That could be game. That fat lady is certainly warming up the vocals. 1:55 left to play in the fourth quarter. Amos needs a drive. He breaks a tackle, looks over the middle, fires, and tries to throw it into double coverage. And that will be the only turnover that we will see all game long. And it looks like Georgia will pull the upset off against the Hurricanes of Miami. Georgia is going to win 23-14 as they'll punch in their ticket to the playoff as SEC champs. But more conference championship games coming your way as we now go out to the West Coast. The Mountain West getting ready to kick things up. Wyoming and Colorado both having surges in the second half of their respective seasons. And the winner of this game will go to the playoff, likely as a 12 seed, to be a bottom feeder for one of the first round opponents. One of the better first round opponents, to say the least. But Carl Nicholson wants to experience that playoff football, though, as he throws his 39th passing touchdown of the season and has Colorado up, or at least Colorado down 7-0. We do not have basic reading comprehension. You hate to see it. But Colorado is looking to get points on the board for the first time today, as first play of the second quarter, quarterback Stephen Tyson, he's going to take it to the corner by himself, and listen, he's not the fastest guy, but he'll take it when the opportunity is there, I'll tell you what. So we're now looking at a tie ball game, but this is what Stephen Tyson can do the best. He has been surgical so far in this game, hasn't had the big mistake yet, and you love to see that in this conference championship environment. when these two teams just seem so evenly matched, Michael Slane will also score. So Stephen Tyson will have a passing touchdown to his name. And in this next quarter and a half, I mean, what can I say? Stephen Tyson just absolutely goes off. I mean, completing 16 of your first 18 passes, absolutely ridiculous. It gives Colorado a significant lead to work from, as Wyoming is simply trying to get some points up on the board. As Carl Nicholson, well, he's going to try to scramble, but he gets lit up like a Christmas tree. So, offensive coordinator Remy Natalius, one of your guys' custom guys, well, he's going to go back to the ground. They pick up the first down, luckily. Gives them plenty of time, but this will likely be one of the last plays of the first half, though. Speed option to the right inside, and Carl Nicholson fights his way into the end zone. Touchdown, Wyoming. But the Cowboys missed their extra point, and Colorado continues their offensive outpour. It has been a one-sided affair since the start of the second quarter. However, first down coming up for the Cowboys as late in the third quarter. They're going to try to cut this down to a 2-score game. Carl Nicholson does make a guy miss. Able to pick up 5 yards there on the option. It is now much more manageable. 2nd and 5 coming up as they're going to hand it off once again. Going to the tailback. Adam Hunter, who nearly finds the end zone. Going to be marked just short, though, at the 1-yard line. Now looking at a 1st and goal opportunity, though, as Carl Nichols does it again. Touchdown to Michael Castillo. We'll see what the Cowboys go for 2, and yes, they will. 2-point conversion to make this a 14-point game. Nichols fires, caught. Brent Bell with a dime. And it's a 2-score game. But this defense needs to step up. Colorado already is back in the red zone. First time that we see them in the red zone in this entire second half, by the way. So big defensive stand needed for the Wyoming Cowboys. They got to create a turnover. And this is not only not going to be a turnover, the exact opposite of what they needed happen. Stephen Tyson, he is going to score yet again. 42-21 is your score, as it looks like Colorado, they can feel it on the taste of their mouth. They are literally right there. 3rd and 7. Tyson dropping back, looks over to the right-hand side, able to make a defender miss, and Brent Miller forces his way in. Touchdown, Buffaloes. And it's an emphatic win by Colorado, as they will represent the Mountain West. But now, let's focus in on another 2 teams that are meeting in a conference championship, but are not currently ranked in the top 25 as of right now. That is Virginia Tech taking on NC State, but the implications are still the same. A bid to the college football playoff still on the line. 3rd and goal coming up for the NC State Wolfpack as they'll look to try to take the lead, and they're going to get it. Ken Grant just was led into the end zone. Great awareness by Blake Fountain, giving him some momentum to help him get there in the first place. NC State does have an early lead, but how much longer does that actually last? 2nd and 5 now coming up as Virginia Tech is going to drop back to pass. Looking around, looks to the right-hand side, and it's caught! Touchdown, Virginia Tech, and the Hokies will take the lead. And Matt Haynes also is going to take the school record for most receptions in a year. He's the first Virginia Tech wide receiver with 80 catches in a single season. And Virginia Tech will have one more game, regardless of what ends up happening in this ACC championship. I'm sure he wants to experience that college football playoff, though, and so does this defense as well. Interception. Here comes the Hokies. However, Virginia Tech misses a field goal on their next possession, so gift wrapped an opportunity to pull away, and yet here we are, minute left in the first half. NC State still has a chance to tie the game. As how does Ken Grant get out of that? How does he do it? Certified bad man. As we're now looking at 45 seconds left in the half. dropping back. Fountain facing some tremendous pressure and throws it into, I want to say that was quadruple coverage. Pressure really got to Blake Fountain. It's been a sloppy day for NC State, I'll tell you that much. Already turned the ball over 3 separate times. It's a miracle that the Wolfpack is still in this game in spite of the discrepancy in the turnover battle. As now 2nd and 5 coming up as Alvarez drops back, looks over middle of the field, throws it up for his receiver, but his receiver does not win, and that is how the first half is actually going to end. Virginia Tech will actually have a 21-13 lead going into the half. So still a tight game as we now get deeper into the third quarter of action. Virginia Tech looking to finally break the scoring virginity in this ACC championship here in the second half. A 2nd and 4 now coming up as Alvarez lines up in the pro formation. Oh, Riley Richardson almost finds his way into the end zone, but is going to be just short. Going to mark him at the 1-inch line. I'm surprised they're not going for the touch push. Instead, Alvarez is going to throw to the left-hand side and finds his man. Touchdown, Hokies. And Alvarez is feeling himself with 4 passing touchdowns. How about we add on a rushing touchdown as well for good measure, as the Hokies will win convincingly in the ACC championship. We'll be seeing Virginia Tech in that college football playoff. But now we are down to just the last couple of conference championship matchups. Big ones happening. We'll start out in the West Coast. Number 10, USC, your defending national champions. Well, they will be taking on the current number 1 team in America, and that is the Huskies of the University of Washington, who get to host the Pac-12 championship. USC needs this win to properly defend their national championship hopes, but Washington is looking to do everything possible to avoid that outcome. Dropping back in under center. It's going to be a run to the right-hand side. He's got some blocks into the end zone. Yes! Adrian Nicholas is going to score, and Washington starts their opening drive the best way possible. Washington will get into the end zone. Touchdown, Huskies. But USC cannot respond in kind, so a chance for Washington to open things up, but instead, USC is going to seize the momentum as Adam Castillo gets intercepted by the outside linebacker Adam Hurst. And that is going to hurt Washington, but not too badly, actually, because Washington able to force USC to punt there. I was just as surprised as you guys, to be honest with you. But the Trojans will get a second chance at this, though, as Adam Castillo gets intercepted yet again. Been a sloppy first quarter for sure. But that being said, we will see the Trojans go ahead and tack on a field goal this time. So Trojans had 2 turnovers and only get 3 points out of it. That is not paid state material, as the boys over at Lake Kick with Josh Pate would say. Ben Scott is going to find the end zone as well. That's a touchdown for USC right here. 10-7 will be your score. Washington will be looking to try to retake the lead, though, as we got a man in shotgun formation. It's a spread triple option, though. Castillo's got space down the sideline. He's going to run away from the City of Angels. Touchdown, Washington. Adam Castillo puts the number 1 team in the land back in the lead. And Washington will now be up 14-10. That will now be your score. So, USC will look to respond back as Ben Scott will try to get things going. Looking over to the right-hand side, throws across his body. Dangerous throw, and rarely that works, but it's going to work in the biggest game of USC's entire football season. Ben Scott going to throw a dime over to that left-hand side. Touchdown, USC. So Washington down by a field goal and too far away from a field goal attempt. So they're going to Hail Mary this. He's got time. Castillo, yes! Sean Peterson with a diving grab. Do you believe in miracles? Oh, I certainly do. Washington is going to take a lead into the halftime locker room. So we'll see if the second half is just as entertaining, as Washington's still up 21-17, and they're really starting to open up this offense. Adam Castillo really starting to hurt the USC secondary, as Danny Nicholson was able to get behind the defense there, and that's going to be a tutty, an easy one as a matter of fact, especially with the kind of wheels that Danny Nicholson certainly has on him. But USC will look to answer back as they had a methodic drive, as it will end in a USC touchdown of their own. Ben Scott will have his third passing touchdown of the evening. We'll take a look at the replay real quick. Just a beautifully designed slant pattern. Had multiple receivers open. He had his own pick. We love those kind of play designs right there. But Washington will answer back in kind with a touchdown of their own. A semi-methodical drive of their own, as Adrian Nicholas gives Washington the 30-piece here. Washington now up 35-24. And USC can't respond. So the Washington Huskies could put USC away right now. And big runs like this is how you do it. One man left to beat. Oh, he gets caught at the 1-yard line. He was so close to punching it in. And another running back is going to take it in. That's Andy Curtis. So Nicholas does all the hard work. Curtis gets all the credit. Curtis will score for Washington, as USC is now down big, 24-42. Tony Mitchell, however, will help USC try to claw back into this game desperately. They get the touchdown there, but their defense is going to have to make some big plays if USC wants to pull this comeback off with less than 3 minutes left to play in the game. They will go for the 2-point conversion as well, as Ben Scott got some time initially, looks over the middle of the field and finds Ray Jefferson. And yes, that 2-point conversion will indeed be good. So 42-32 is your score. However, when USC tried to go for the onside kick, they kicked the onsider out of bounds. So Washington starts on their own, on USC's 35-yard line because of that. And Washington, well, they take quick advantage. Another rushing touchdown for Adam Castillo, as we certainly had fireworks like your Katy Perry song. 49-32 will be your final score, which leads us down to that final conference championship. That final automatic bid on the line is one of the biggest rivalry games in all of college sports. Ohio State, ranked number 12 in the country, well, they will have to make the journey up to Ann Arbor, Michigan, to take on this number 4 ranked team in the entire country, as they represent the Hoosier Division. Buckeyes represent well that Buckeye Division. Late in the first quarter, though, we still don't have anybody scoring yet. We don't have any of that happening, but FM4 is looking to change that, as Fred Morris IV, the custom at quarterback, trying to lead Michigan to the promised land, and that's a good way to start. FM4 will help Michigan take the lead. Later on in the first quarter, though, FM4 gets another possession, another opportunity, and this run game is just doing an emphatic job, a fantastic job of getting big runs against the Ohio State front seven. They are certainly looking outmatched at the line of scrimmage right now. Second and short coming up as FM4 looks to the back of the end zone, and Jason Crenshaw is going to catch that one. Touchdown, Wolverines! And Michigan will make it a 14-0 lead in a big-time matchup. So Ohio State really need to get their act together if they want to experience national championship football. The Ohio State Buckeyes, who were in the national championship game last year, they are put on the brink. But Brandon Burks is going to try to make sure that doesn't happen, as Brandon Burks breaks Marvin Harrison Jr.'s record for most receptions in a single career. So huge achievement there for Brandon Burks. He is certified been him, arguably one of the best receivers in the history of Ohio State football, as this is going to lead to a Ohio State touchdown, and that makes it 14-7. That being said, though, Ohio State is able to force a Michigan punt, so Ohio State has a chance to tie the game down the sideline, and it's going to be pushed out of bounds. But a big run for Jonathan Sherman, and the Sherman tank is going to get Ohio State back in the red zone. And Sherman will finish the job a couple of plays later. Touchdown, Ohio State, and the Buckeyes do end up tying it up here in Ann Arbor. However, with 1:20 left to play in the first half, Michigan is going to drop back the pass. Looks around, throws to the right-hand side. It's intercepted. FM4 is picked off, and it's going to be a critical mistake, as he is going to have this taken all the way back. Ohio State will have themselves a defensive touchdown on their hands. Ohio State will go ahead and take the lead. 21-14 is your score. Michigan will drop back the pass, so looks over to the left-hand side, and the ball's on the ground there too. Well, I actually thought he was down on the ground, but that did not happen, though. That did not happen at all. So here we are jumping into the second half. Ohio State, by the way, misses the field goal. So 21-14 is your score going into the second half, as Brooks Hicks is going to use those legs. He's had a tumultuous time at Ohio State. He's been injury prone. But that being said, we are going to see some chaos in the second half, as Sam Williams will score for Ohio State. The Buckeyes are in 24-14. And you could hear a squirrel fart in the stadium right now. That's how silent it has been. 28 unanswered points for the Ohio State Buckeyes. And that team down south, they are certainly not done yet. Looking over to the right-hand side, he's going to hand it off to Keith Carter. Keith Carter with a big run. That sets up a basic goal line situation for Ohio State, and they will take advantage with Drew Manning into the end zone. Touchdown, Ohio State. The Buckeyes are going to be up 35-14. So FM4 needs to recapture that first quarter magic if we are indeed going to see the Michigan Wolverines go to the college football playoff, at least as an automatic bid team. FM4 is going to score here for the Wolverines, as FM4 is able to pound it into the end zone all by himself. So that is a touchdown for Michigan. Is now 35-21 is your score, as FM4 again drops back the pass, looks over to the right-hand side. It's caught. Michigan is in business all of a sudden. This could be a comeback of a lifetime on our hands, as Michigan will score, and it's down to a one-possession game. However, Michigan will decide to kick it out to the Ohio State Buckeyes, and Ohio State is able to run the rest of the clock out. So Ohio State will win the Big Ten and go to the playoff, or Michigan, they'll have to see if they can get 1 to 2 at-large bids. So just a recap of what you saw in Conference Championship Weekend. This is what we have. Nebraska is able to pull it out against Wisconsin 30-24. So Nebraska will get the automatic bid from the American. Colorado, they are going to blow out Wyoming 49-21. So the Colorado Buffaloes will represent the Mountain West. Notre Dame taking on Tennessee in the MAC championship. Seems like the MAC is getting a little bit stronger than it was in the past couple of seasons. Tennessee does win 38-28, so the Tennessee Volunteers will be in for the MAC. Texas dominates SMU 59-14, and not only representing the Big 12, but also getting one of those 4 bye games as they are in the top 4. Ole Miss, they were in a close one against Memphis 31-27, so the Ole Miss Rebels will represent for the Sun Belt. Army wins against Rutgers 22-15. In the Conference USA Championship, they also get a top 4 bye as they're in that top 4. However, Georgia pulls the upset off against Miami 23-14. That's big too because Georgia was a team on the outside looking in, but because of this win, they get the automatic bid from the SEC. Virginia Tech dominates NC State 35-13, and Virginia Tech therefore will get the automatic bid from the ACC. Washington beats USC 49-32, so the defending national champions will have to wait and see if they can get in one of the 2 at-large bids that are available, but no question, Washington will be your number 1 team in the NCSL playoffs in year number 3. And finally, in the game that you just saw, Ohio State is gonna beat Michigan 35-28. So they'll get the final automatic bid. That auto bid comes from the Big Ten Championship. So even though we did end up having a couple of teams make it to the NCSL playoffs, a couple of teams that got automatic bids were not ranked in the final college football playoff poll that decides the playoff seeding. So how do we determine who gets a seed over who under these circumstances? Well, we used this method in the first couple of seasons to determine automatic bids, and lo and behold, we're who is going to have that final bye into the NCSL playoffs, and it is going to be Florida State. The Seminoles are ranked number 4 in the country. Their only loss is to Miami. So Florida State had a strong year at 11-1 this season. They'll be in as the number 4 seed. As for the other team to get into the NCSL playoffs, will be UCLA. They have been awarded the number 5 seed in the NCSL playoffs this year. UCLA has one of the explosive offenses in the country. UCLA is surely going to give Colorado a tough time in the first round. So really excited for UCLA to get in, but for a couple of other schools, there's going to be some heartbreak. California is certainly going to be one of those schools. They did not control their own destiny, and unfortunately there just was not enough chaos at the top. But here's the crappy part in all of this. So Cal finishes 10-2, right? But here's the thing that's going to drive you up a wall. UCLA actually played Cal. Cal went on the road to take on this UCLA team, and Cal actually won. So for UCLA to make it into the NCSL playoffs and not the California Bears, oh, that is certainly Fortunately, they dropped that game in today's episode against the Georgia Bulldogs. So that being said, that does mean that Miami will not be in the NCSL playoffs this year. But with that being said, though, we do now have our college football playoff bracket to determine our national champion. Well, it is officially going to be set. The top 5 seeds should be of no surprise, as Washington, Texas, Army, and Florida State, they'll get the top 4 seeds, so they will get a bye into the quarterfinals automatically. UCLA, as the number 5 team in the country, well, they are going to be the 5 seed, taking on the champions from the Mountain West in the Colorado Buffaloes. As for how the rest of the first round matchups are going to shake out, Ohio State, they're in as the number 6 seed as the champions of the Big Ten. They'll take on the champions of the ACC in Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech being ahead of Colorado, like we said, because the ACC was a slightly better conference over the course of the season. Tennessee, the number 7 seed and the number 9 team in the nation, they will be taking on the Nebraska Cornhuskers, who are the number 19 overall team in the nation, but get that 10 seed because they are the champions of the American Conference. Then for the final first round matchup that we haven't talked about yet, we will have Ole Miss, the number 15 ranked team in the nation and champions of the Sun Belt Conference. They will take on the Bulldogs of Georgia, the number 16 ranked team in the nation and your number 9 seed in the NCSL College Football Playoff in year number 3. So this will settle the entire field, but we will not see the entire College Football Playoff, at least not yet. We will still have a bunch of bowl games, and next episode will be dedicated just to those bowl games, which even though these other teams that are in bowl games, they don't get a chance to compete for a national championship, we will still end up seeing some great action in the bowl season. I started recording the bowl season already, and I'm telling you, you're going to be in for a treat. So buckle up, get some popcorn for that next episode. But in the meantime, I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have, make sure you go ahead, smack that like button, hit that subscribe button as well if you have to be brand new to the channel. This is John J. Gaming on the mic signing off. Hoping you guys are all out there having a good one. Take care, everybody.